And the reason that's bad is the minute if I give you my money, what do I want?
When it comes to being successful, there's going to be one thing that totally changes the game and allows you to become successful. And that's going to be your work ethic. If you're super lazy and don't get stuff done, then you'll never become successful. If you sit around and wait for success to come to you, it's never going to happen. You have to be aggressive and go out there and do whatever you possibly can to get stuff done. You have to be willing to go all in. You have to be wanting to be successful so bad that you want nothing more than that one goal to be accomplished.
As much as anything, I've always been very, very competitive.
You want to be thinking about ways to improve yourself while you're resting or while you're on a break. You need to figure out how to constantly get the most out of your time so that you can put that into working for your goals and for your success train. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. There's going to be times where it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to want to get up and go do it. But there's going to be days where you're going to be super stoked to get up and go do it. So you've got to take advantage of those days.
Right, and so these triggers, they become very easy triggers that are easy for people to remember.
But you also have to take advantage of the days that are hard. So when you wake up and you don't want to do it, you make yourself do it. So that way you can build some toughness and get used to doing things you don't like to do and get uncomfortable so you can learn from that experience and you can grow and mature and build upon yourself each and every day so that you will slowly become more and more successful each and every day, so that way you make these small changes which make a great impact upon your life.
How are you going to understand what people are doing to change everything? Everybody's got something that they're good at, and the hard part is just finding it. And I found out early that I was a good salesperson, that I really liked business. You know, like I like sports. I mean, I read everything I possibly could, played sports as much as I could, just wasn't as good as I wanted to be. And business was the same way. I mean, as long as I could remember, I was buying and selling baseball cards, garbage bags, whatever I could find, stamps to collectors. But I was also reading everything I possibly could about business. And, you know, I was that unusual kid that I'd rather read about Ted Turner than go to the movies. And so I think that created a foundation. And my parents, you know, my dad used to always say, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm glad you're doing it. And so I had my ups and downs along the way, of course. But I just think that put in the time and was fortunate enough to really get excited about business, and that paid off benefits over the long haul. So some of my smaller Shark Tank companies that resell products are getting crushed by the tariffs. I mean, I've got one that may go out of business simply because tariffs at 10% were one thing, tariffs at 25%, they just can't compete. You know, we all have ideas and we all have business concepts where we think, okay, this is a great idea, and we all go through that same process. You know, you have the idea, you get excited about it, you get that feeling in your stomach, right? Then you go tell all your friends and they say, oh, it's a great idea. Then you go to Google and you look it up. Right? And you get all excited because, oh, that's not really anything like it, and you convince yourself. But then the key part is what happens next. And so I've always been of the attitude that I want to be prepared. I'm not a risk taker, despite what people think. I avoid risk by trying to know more about what I'm trying to do than anybody. Like, I literally, back when I was 15, 16, I was collecting stamps. And that was another one of my businesses. And I would go to stamp shows in Pittsburgh, and I would take advantage of the variances in pricing from one stamp dealer to the next. So I'd say this, you know, I'd buy this, literally I went in one day with a quarter, bought something for a quarter, and turned that into $50. Because I put in the work to understand the stamp market, what stamps, what they were priced at. And I try to approach all my businesses the same way, whether it's the Mavericks or being 12 or being 16. You're always going to compete. 99.9999% of the times you're going to be competing with somebody. I admire every entrepreneur who's done it on their own. I love being in situations like this. I love talking to the people in Shark Tank for that reason. I admire Jerry Buss, the guy who ran the Lakers, who unfortunately recently passed away. I'm not a big that's just not me. I'm more like, oh, you think you're good? Let's see what you got. You think you're smart? Okay, I'm gonna start a company. Let's just see, right? I'm gonna go help your competition. Let's see how we do. To me, I said in my book, business is the ultimate sport. You compete 24/7 by 365, and people are always like, well, why don't you just chill? Like, I love to compete. I love to know that
all these millennials, oh, you're good, watch this, you know? I still go out there, I've had 2 hip replacements. I was playing basketball yesterday against guys half my age, right? I don't give a shit, right? It's just like, you gotta go. And that's why I love business, because it's effort and ability. And you can work on the ability side and you can work on the effort side and accomplish anything.
This is a great lesson for entrepreneurs, right? So this guy came in with this really cool app, worked with an iPhone 5, and it just turned around and take panoramic pictures and then stitch them together, and it was a cool picture. So I give him $250,000, I think, for 20% of the company or 25% of the company. Not 4 months later, Apple changes the iPhone. And it's got this like rounded thing underneath, and we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? But the guy was smart. And one of the things I always look for companies coming in is, what's your unique advantage? What is the one thing you have that differentiates you from other companies? And for this guy, the product was interesting, but as I said on the show, the ability to program video and use what became computer vision was a unique skill that was hard to find. And so we worked with him and actually worked with him to bring in another CEO, and they used that same technology to be able to scan cars. So now if you go to websites like Carvana to buy a car and you see how you can turn the car around just right there, that started with their software. And the guy's name is Bruno. So Bruno, we just sold his company for $22.5 million.